April 15th has been designated by UNESCO as World Art Day. The proclamation of this day was made at the 40th session of UNESCO's General Conference in 2019. The significance of celebrating World Art Day is manifold. It not only offers an opportunity to promote the development, diffusion, and employment of art, it also reinforces the links between artistic creations and society, shines light on arts education in school, promotes inclusion and equitable education, among others. With us in the studio is art teacher from the Keyon High School, Mr. Michael Manners, and student, Mr. Jaden Dunrad. Let's talk art. Mr. Manners, explain to our viewers what is art.
Art is basically human expression. The way we wear our hair, the food we eat, the way we sing in the shower.
Simple.
Simple.
That's art. What about walking?
All of that. You know, it's just how we show ourselves who we are.
Who we are. A way of life of people, almost like culture?
Yes, it is culture.
It is culture.
It is culture.
Interesting. As we are focusing on arts and art education, tell us the difference between arts education and art in education.
I would ask you, is there really a difference between the two? But one is more formal, whereas the other one is just, as we just expressed, your daily expression. So the formal one is where you begin to explore it, to teach it in a way that you can reproduce it in the community or in a commercial sense. Whereas you decided to do your nails this morning, you're pursuing art, you're expressing yourself.
Simple. I really thought that this would have been a very strict, difficult topic to talk about art in terms of art education and arts in education, because we know that we have parents that say, oh, my child will not be doing art. Art is basically just drawing. And or we see our children in preschool taking up paint and drawing, and we're like, they're doing art. They're doing art. What else does art encompass it, Mr. Manners?
Right, so to touch on what you were just saying, in our society in the Caribbean, we tend to have a stigma when it comes to the art, or you can't make money through the arts and so forth. But art is something that it's a part of us every day. We cannot survive without art, whether it is performing arts, visual arts, culinary arts, literary arts. It is a part of every aspect of our life.
Now, we're talking about arts in education. How important would you say is arts education in the classroom?
It's very important. The classroom prepares our children and sometimes our adults for wider society, entering whether it's the job market or, general life. So the better we prepare them for that, the better we all are, right? So it's not just saying you're going to look at a career in the arts, but also basic daily function. The way we design things to make things happen, very important.
Art is essential. What are some benefits, Mr. Manners, of arts education to students? What are some of the benefits that you see your students reaping from engaging in arts education?
The ability to express yourself. I once heard, well, it was from a study where they said everybody is an artist, and when you're younger, you're more expressive. Everybody has a story, whether with themselves or one of their children, where they draw on the wall, on the fridge, everywhere, in a textbook. I used to do that a lot, drawing my textbooks. But as we get older, we tend to either push it out of your child or dissuade them away from that. So we're all artists. It's just as we get older, we said, focus on other aspects of life.
All right. Now, because we're talking about art in education and the benefits of art to students, who better to tell us how art has benefited them than a student So we're going to focus our attention to Mr. Dunwad. And Mr. Dunwad is going to tell us or explain to us how art has helped him to express himself. Mr. Dunwad?
Okay, well, to use a specific example of art, of using art to express myself, I have this art piece that I submitted for my CXC SPAs last year. The story behind it is basically I've been working on this passion project of mine since, you could say, as early as first form or second form. And as much as I like writing, you can only do so much with words. Like, I was a student of literature. Words are very easy to interpret, have a lot of interpretations. So this really helped me to express the idea, the specific idea of what I wanted to evoke in the reader.
Tell us a little more about the painting, because I can see we have a little color here, no color there. The gentleman and the lady or the ladies are kneeling, their arms are wrapping around each other. So tell us a little more about the painting.
Okay, so the first thing that should jump out at you is this huge area of darkness where the rest of the painting is, you know, it's white, it's grays, it's desaturated colors, and then here comes this pungent black, encompassing almost a third of the painting. And the theme I wanted to invoke here, well, really and truly, one of the themes, because as I said, this is based on a book, and you can't really display an entire book in one painting, because the book has over 60 chapters and sometimes counting, depending on how I feel. So this specific painting, though, is based on the final chapter. I think it's number 62. I know you were asking about this code up here. It's just the ending binary, you know, it's the last page. Nothing that specific. But really, the theme I wanted to invoke here was one of fear. This blackness is a fear of the unknown. In the context of the story, all these symbols and so, they represent the different characters within the books, are the loose ends left to tie up. And it's, you know, in the back of these two's minds, you know, it's always a lingering fear in the back of their minds. So, but realize now that there is a blockage of the blackness blockage of the black when it comes closer to them as they embrace themselves, is really showing that despite all the fears of the unknown or all the loose ends left to tie up, they still have each other. And once they have each other, they are able to not necessarily get rid of the fear, but not have it be a constant enemy of theirs, so to speak.
Wow, so a painting of words that simply says, I am your safe space.
Exactly.
That's what art does. Wonderful. In pursuing art as a student, what are some things you have learned about yourself that you otherwise would not have known without engaging in art?
Okay, so the major thing I've learned about myself through art is photography. Because before I did arts in school, I did not know a thing about photography. The only thing I knew is like when me and my friends going out, they're like, hey, take a picture of me. But
Right.
now, photography is like an essential part of my life, basically. So that is really the major thing I've learned through art. Another thing is, well, learning to express myself, as seen here. And really, I've learned to really refine my creative process, you know, really break down the elements of something I'm creating and really ironing out the process. It started here with the CXC art pieces, and now I use it to this day in my photo shoots that I do for people of landscapes, events, etc.
Wonderful. Let's talk a while. You know, student, time management is essential. What role would you say art would have played in your ability to manage your time as a student?
Well, I would say that art was my biggest enemy when it came to time management, because art takes a lot of time. A lot of time. Because I started this piece maybe like, you would say around mid-March,
Mm-hmm.
and I finished it in May, like just before the exams. So
Wow.
yeah, it takes a lot of time. I can't stress that enough.
How were you able to manage that time to get your other subjects done while completing your SBA for art, vice versa? Doing daily stuff at home, washing the dishes, making your bed. How was that? How was art able to assist you in that?
I really think art helps you with that because art teaches a lot of patience. And it really teaches you how to break down tasks. You cannot attack the whole art piece at one time. You have to focus section by section. And that's a skill that you can apply to time management. Say, doing an assignment. You don't do the whole thing one time. You do section A, section B, section C, etc. So, yeah, I think that art really helped me in the time management aspect of the latter years of school.
Awesome. And my final question to you, Mr. Dunwan, is as a graduate of the Cairn High School, and you would have dipped your foot in the labor market, employment line, how has art helped you grow and learn?
It really taught me the skill of adaptability because, you know, you call this a painting. A skill, Mr. Manners would tell you, I am not very good at painting at all.
No?
No, like, so when most of the resources were paint, and I couldn't paint, I had to adapt, had to find different mediums to create these art pieces. Like, for example, this black is charcoal, for example, and this is white marker, this is printer paper, and in my other pieces, my final exam piece for art, I used like the brown paper bags. I used an old school shirt of mine and like old crest and all. So it really taught me to work with what I had, to even express me, even to be more creative, think outside the box, because whereas most people would use paint, I was using school shirts to make brown. So, and another aspect of how art has helped me to learn and grow, it's really helped me to, it's opened a lot of opportunities for me, being completely honest. When I first started photography back in, I think it was third form, just taking pictures of the planets, and I know that sounds like a really ridiculous thing to start with. I really couldn't have imagined that I would be doing a photo shoot for somebody's birthday literally 2 days ago.
Well, there we have it from Mr. Jaden. Mr. Manners, it must make you feel real proud listening to your students speak about how art has impacted his life.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's the reward after all the hard work over the years, all the different students. And sometimes how you map out success in your mind for yourself or others is not how it is, but it's still a success nonetheless.
It is
Yeah,
success.
it's a learning for everybody.
Is there anything else that Mr. Dunham might have said that could have attributed to art being a benefit to students, or something that you might not have said and then you hear Mr. Dunham saying, and you're like, oh yes, that's something that I didn't really remember, that, because we need to encourage parents, society to look at art beyond the beautiful works behind us, the work that we see others do, what our children are doing. Is there anything else that we can use to help our parents encourage students to engage in arts?
Right, so he spoke about critical thinking, where he had a theme based on a book, one of the books he has been writing, and he expressed himself visually. So the ability to take a word or a thought and express it visually. So we don't want robots in society that follow around. Life would be very boring, and you get up, why bother get up again? You know, to be a machine. So art with the critical thinking, and then problem solving. Lack of resources, he used a school shirt, he used different things.
Yes.
Discipline, right? And then your mental health, the art pieces around us by various students and teachers, other teachers. It just gives you a particular mood or calming effect or what have you. I could go on and on, but I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
So here we have it. We learned that art promotes critical thinking. It's a stress reliever. It encourages sustainability, which Mr. Dunwald brought out by using brown paper bag and recycling around the shirt and so forth. It's so sad that we're coming to the end of our little conversation about art. But before we end this conversation, I would like Mr. Manners to share with us a little bit of the challenges, if there are any challenges that he would have experienced as a teacher where arts in education or art education is concerned.
The attitude and the approach towards, I could speak for visual arts, but the arts in general has changed over the years. On a Saturday, a lot of the young ladies in our society would go to dance class.
Right.
So you see that we've opened up to that, and it's something accepted and very common. One thing I experienced when I first started teaching was send, and I hate this term, the remedial students to do art because they need to do practical things. But that's not the case. You have to be a deep thinker. Not that that kind of student is not capable, but it's probably the case that he or she isn't challenged in a way that motivates them, or it's just not their way of learning. So the attitude has shifted, but a lot more can be done, even from administrators' standpoint. They need to be more accepting and open-minded to the benefits of visual arts. And then lastly, in terms of resources and the physical area where we have to do the learning and the teaching, it tends to be challenging. But I'm sure with time, things will change.
I'm sure with time things will change, and I can see a lot of our young persons, our young individuals, young adults are gravitating to the arts. We have Mr. Dunwald, an upcoming photographer. I know there are other persons who are into dance, who are into music, generation and mechanics, production and so forth of music.
And there's culinary arts. Everybody likes the belly, so definitely. Yeah.
Oh yes, culinary arts and tailoring. Would you say tailoring
the fashion,
is fashion?
Yeah, clothing and
so
fashion.
So we do have
design,
a lot of artists out there in our communities. Well, this is where we end conversation today. We end our talk about art, but let me remind you that art encompasses creativity. It allows a person to express such creativity through visual representation and these wonderful paintings behind us, performances such as dance, poetry, drumming, as well as aesthetics expression. Arts in education or arts education is beneficial to students as it helps to improve their concentration, reduce stress, and also improve their self-esteem. Once again, on behalf of Education Media Unit, I would like to say thank you for tuning in to Conversations, where the topic is Let's Talk Art.